Welcome. Today we're going to explore some of the most valuable top 6 Mercury 1 dime coins in the collecting world. These remarkable coins, with their rare details and fascinating color shades, have become true treasures for collectors everywhere. They're not just pieces of history. They're some of the most valuable gems that coin hunters are chasing today. So, whether you're a passionate coin enthusiast or simply someone who loves the beauty and significance of American currency, this video is made just for you. Get ready, because we're about to dive into the world of rare Mercury 1 dime coins, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. First up in the vast and fascinating world of numismatics, there are coins that stand out not just for their age, but for the incredible stories they carry with them. One of the most talked about legends among collectors today is the mysterious Sacagawea Mercury Dime, dated 1918, bearing both the W and P mint marks and showing a copper side unlike anything expected. At first glance, it may look like just another dime, a small piece of change you could easily overlook. But in the world of rare coin collecting, this piece has been whispered about as the kind of discovery that could change an ordinary life into an extraordinary one overnight. To understand why this coin grips the imagination so tightly, we must first look at the unusual combination of features it is said to carry. The mint mark tells us where a coin was struck, and normally it bears a single letter, a P for Philadelphia, a W for West Point, and so forth. But the very idea of a coin showing influence from both mints is something unheard of, a mystery that numismatists love to chase. Add in the fact that this particular dime seems to reveal its copper side, showing through a clad surface where silver-colored metal should be, and suddenly you have a specimen that screams rarity and accident all at once. What makes the 1918 date so compelling is its position in American history. The United States was just emerging from the Great War, and the country's mint was under pressure to produce millions of coins for circulation. In that atmosphere of speed and mass production, mistakes were bound to happen. Some planchets may not have been struck properly, some cladding may have been thin or missing, and some coins may have escaped inspection with features that were never intended for the public eye. It is within this context that the Sacagawea Mercury Dime supposedly slipped into existence, a tiny survivor from a time of enormous national change. The copper side alone would be enough to drive collectors wild. Normally, dimes are struck on clad planchets with copper cores hidden beneath a nickel shell. When that copper becomes visible on one side, whether due to misstriking, missing cladding, or edge exposure, the coin instantly becomes a rarity. It tells a story of imperfection at the mint, of a machine that faltered for just a moment, and of a piece that escaped the melting pot to find its way into circulation. That visible copper is like a scar that adds character rather than diminishes it. Then there's the name Sacagawea, tied here to the Mercury legend. Sacagawea was the Shoshone guide who played an essential role in the Lewis and Clark expedition, a figure of courage and resilience whose image later graced the golden dollar coins. The very attachment of her name to a dime from 1918 adds a mythic dimension, transforming what might have been just an error coin into something much larger. It becomes a symbol of exploration, survival, and discovery, values that resonate deeply with collectors. But what about the word Mercury? To collectors who whisper of it, Mercury signifies mystery, a coin that is out of place, almost mythical in its nature. When you combine that with the name of Sacagawea and the history of 1918, you have a piece of metal that transcends normal currency and becomes a story, a legend that people will pay almost anything to possess. That is why this coin is described as priceless, its value unimaginable in today's collector market. Condition, of course, plays a vital role. A coin in poor shape may still be interesting, but one in good condition, with sharp details, a clean surface, and visible copper edges, turns into a masterpiece. Collectors understand that every scratch, every mark, lowers a coin's grade and its worth. But when a piece from over a century ago surfaces with its features intact, it is like time has frozen it. That preservation increases not only its financial value, but its historical weight. Auction houses thrive on coins like this. Imagine the scene. The lights are bright, the crowd hushed, and the coin is revealed. Bidders whisper, and then the action begins. Paddles rise, numbers climb, and the room grows tense. A coin like the Sacagawea Mercury Dime of 1918 could send shockwaves through such a gathering. with collectors fighting to own a piece that is part history, part accident, and part legend. Prices could soar into millions, driven not just by scarcity but by desire. The excitement does not stop at the auction house. Stories of such coins ripple through the numismatic community, told at shows, in collector clubs, and across generations. These stories inspire new collectors to begin their own hunts, to examine every coin that passes through their hands, hoping to find a hidden treasure. The Sacagawea Mercury Dime becomes more than a coin. It becomes a beacon that keeps the dream alive for countless enthusiasts. Imagine the life-changing moment for the person who finds it. Perhaps they pulled it from a forgotten coin jar, or maybe it turned up in loose change. At first, they thought little of it, until a dealer or collector noticed something strange. That moment of realization is electric. What was once 10 cents now holds a power to turn someone into a millionaire overnight. That thrill of transformation, from ordinary to extraordinary, is the heartbeat of numismatics. What truly fuels the coin's legend is the belief that value can appear anywhere. This is why collectors search relentlessly. Because a miracle might be sitting unnoticed in a pocket, a drawer, or a piggy bank. The Sacagawea Mercury Dime symbolizes that promise, the possibility that the next great discovery is within reach for anyone, not just experts. It democratizes a dream of sudden fortune, and that makes it irresistible. The coin also serves as a reminder of imperfection's beauty. In a world obsessed with uniformity, this piece shows us that mistakes can create masterpieces. The mint never intended such a coin to exist, yet its very flaws made it legendary. Collectors chase these flaws not because they are defects, but because they tell the truth, that even in places of precision, chance can still create miracles. In the broader picture, the Sacagawea Mercury Dime connects people to both history and hope. It ties together the struggles of 1918, the story of Sacagawea, the technical quirks of minting, and the eternal human hunger for treasure. Holding such a coin is like holding a piece of destiny, proof that small things can carry unimaginable power. The financial side of the story is equally compelling. In today's market, such a coin is spoken of as worth millions, even capable of making its owner unimaginably rich. Whether or not every claim is grounded in hard fact, the truth is that in the rare coin market, perception often drives reality. If collectors believe it is priceless, they will pay accordingly, and that belief alone makes it one of the most desired pieces in existence. And so, we arrive at the heart of the story. The Sacagawea Mercury Dime of 1918 is not merely a coin. It is a legend wrapped in copper and nickel, a story that has traveled through generations, and a promise that fortune still hides in the most unexpected places. For those lucky enough to hold it, it is more than wealth. It is a reminder that destiny sometimes comes in the smallest packages, ready to change lives forever. Next up, the 1919 Sacagawea Mercury Dime. At first glance, it's a coin so small it could slip unnoticed through your fingers. But behind its tiny frame lies a legend so powerful that it carries the promise of instant wealth, even billionaire-level fortune, for the lucky soul who finds it. The year 1919 was no ordinary year. America had just emerged from the shadows of World War I. The nation was changing, industries booming, and the U.S. Mint was striking millions of coins to fuel commerce. Yet it is in times like these, when machines run endlessly and human hands guide the process, that strange anomalies can slip through. Among those whispers of possibility lies the myth of a dime like no other, the Sacagawea Mercury Dime. Now imagine a coin struck in 1919, carrying not one but two mint marks, the mysterious W for West Point and the P for Philadelphia. The problem? West Point was not yet officially producing coinage, and Philadelphia, the mother mint, traditionally used no mint mark at all during that time. Two impossible marks on one coin, a contradiction so shocking that its very existence fuels collectors' imaginations. As if that weren't enough, the coin is said to have been struck on a copper side. At a time when dimes were silver-based, seeing copper shine through its surfaces is like spotting gold in a riverbed, rare, unexplainable, and absolutely thrilling. Whether it was struck on the wrong planchet, an experimental blank, or through a minting mistake, this feature makes the coin utterly unique. Picture the coin in your hand, small, worn by time but glowing faintly with reddish copper along its edges, carrying twin mint marks that should never have been paired. It's not just metal anymore. It's a code, a mystery, a story in tangible form. That kind of rarity can't be bought or recreated. It exists only through accident, survival, and fate. And fate, as collectors know, drives value higher than reason can explain. Legends speak of this 1919 Mercury Dime being worth not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but millions of dollars in today's feverish collector market. Millions for a dime. It sounds impossible, but the numismatic world has already proven that impossibility is its specialty. Think of the bidding wars this coin would ignite. Imagine it entering a high-profile auction, described in glowing catalogs as an impossible piece with history-defying mint marks and copper tones. The bidding starts modestly, then surges as collectors realize what's at stake. Private investors, museums, and global numismatists battle one another, the price leaping higher and higher until it reaches numbers that could buy palaces. But let's pause and consider the name attached, Sacagawea. Though officially the Sacagawea dollar was not minted until 2000, the association in folklore ties her spirit to this coin. Sacagawea represents guidance, courage, and the act of crossing into the unknown. How symbolic that her name clings to a dime that defies all logic and carries with the aura of impossibility made real. Condition, of course, is key. A coin that has survived over a century is usually worn, battered, or corroded. But if this 1919 Mercury Dime is still in good condition, with its mint marks visible and its copper tones intact, then it steps into another category entirely. Condition doesn't just polish the story. It multiplies the value exponentially. Skeptics, of course, will argue. They will say this coin cannot exist, that the mint records show nothing of the sort, that two mint marks from separate mints on a 1919 dime is a fantasy. Yet history has proved skeptics wrong before. Consider the 1913 Liberty nickel, which had never been struck, but today is among the most valuable coins in existence. Rare errors and anomalies often defy written records, slipping into circulation like ghosts. Imagine a discovery moment. Someone digging through an old cigar box of coins inherited from a grandfather, brushing dust from a dime, and then seeing it, the copper shine, the W and P mint marks. That instant of recognition would feel like lightning striking your chest. In that second, your life would change. From ordinary to extraordinary. From dreamer to millionaire. And if you brought it into today's global market, the possibilities would multiply. The coin would not only draw attention in the U.S., but also in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, where wealthy collectors chase American rarities with unmatched passion. International competition drives prices higher than ever, ensuring that a coin like this could surpass even the wildest estimates. For the finder, the question becomes, what now? Do you sell it immediately, cashing in on a fortune that could rewrite your entire life story? Or do you hold it, letting its legend grow, its market value rising as the decades pass? That decision weighs heavier than the coin itself, because it's not only about money, it's about destiny. Beyond wealth, this coin symbolizes something deeper. It tells us that history is not always neat, that even in the controlled process of minting, chance and error can create miracles. The Sacagawea Mercury Dime reminds us that treasures may appear in the most unlikely places, waiting for the right eyes to see them. The copper side in particular is almost poetic. It is a hidden layer, an inner truth revealed on the surface. Copper was the foundation of America's earliest coins, and here it reemerges on a dime that should never show it. To collectors, that's more than an error. It's a symbol of history bleeding through, reminding us that even progress is built in the roots of the past. For historians, this coin raises questions. Who struck it? Was it an accident, a test, or a secret experiment that escaped? For collectors, however, the mystery only adds allure. They don't always need answers. What they crave is uniqueness, rarity, and story, and this coin delivers all three in abundance. And so we arrive at the truth. Whether myth, miracle, or minting anomaly, the 1919 Sacagawea Mercury Dime represents more than wealth. It represents the eternal hope of discovery, the belief that life can turn on a dime, quite literally. That's why collectors chase it, why legends grow, and why its value is said to reach unimaginable heights. If you ever hold such a coin, know this: you are holding more than metal. You are holding a ticket to fortune, a fragment of history, and a story that will outlive you. This coin is not just a collectible. It is a key to rewriting destiny itself. Next up, the tale of the most valuable and most expensive Sacagawea Mercury 1 dime, a tiny piece of metal stamped in 1921 that, in the story's collector's tray behind velvet ropes, carries impossible mint marks, a copper face, and the power to change a life overnight. Picture the year 1921. The world still smelled of change after the Great War. Coin presses roared in the corners of government mints, and engravers toyed with designs and experiments in the quiet hours. In this fertile mix of industry and imagination, strange things sometimes happened. Planchets swapped, dies misaligned, mint marks misplaced, and once in a while those mistakes turned ordinary coins into legendary rarities. Now imagine a dime born in that year, stamped with not one but two contradictory mint marks. A proud West Point W, a mark that was rarely used for circulation at that time, and a Philadelphia P layered over or beside it. To the trained eye, that alone is the beginning of a mystery. How did two mint identities end up sharing a single face? Such contradictions are the kind of puzzle that lights a collector's fire. Add to this the copper side. A dime ought to carry a certain metal profile, yet this piece shows a warm, reddish copper surface where silver or nickel should be. Maybe a wrong planchet was fed beneath the press. Maybe a rush trial struck through a mismatched blank, or maybe time and toning revealed underlying metal. Whatever the cause, the copper gives the coin a personality unlike any other dime from its era. Hold that image in your mind. The coin's edge rimmed with a mix of shine and century-worn whispers, the double mint marks like a secret code, the copper glow catching light in a way that suggests both age and anomaly. For anyone who loves relics, it is irresistible, a compact artifact that seems to carry an entire alternate history. Collectors speak reverently about these pieces, and the stories grow in value and intensity. I won't pluck figures from the air as absolute truth, but listen. Legends say that a specimen like this, in good condition, has been appraised in ranges that make ordinary heads spin, into the millions, into life-altering sums. Whether those valuations are rumor or reality, they reflect a deeper truth. Rarity married to compelling story fuels extraordinary demand. Think about the human drama wrapped around such a find. A person opens a dusty tin, or a grandchild discovers an old coin album, and there it is, warm in their palm, wrong in all the right ways. The discovery becomes a crossroads. Do you guard like a talisman? Do you authenticate it and expose it to the world? Or do you sell and step into the financial freedom collectors only dream about? Authentication becomes the next act in the story. Experts will examine dime markers, edge patterns, metallurgy, and provenance. They will search archives, compare tiny scratches and milling patterns, and debate in hushed tones whether this coin is a true anomaly created by minting accident or an imaginative, well-executed novelty. That process can be as dramatic as finding the coin itself. If the coin survives authentication and lands on an auction block, the scene intensifies. Bidders from multiple continents log in. Private collectors whisper through agents. Museums consider acquisition for their curios. A bidding war could erupt, and with each rising paddle the coin sheds its anonymity and becomes a headline. A single dime that rewrites the balance sheet of whoever owned it before. Yet the story is not only monetary. The link, real or symbolic, to Sacagawea imbues the coin with cultural resonance. Sacagawea stand for guidance, courage, and crossing difficult terrain. Invoking her name on a tiny 1921 dime creates a narrative bridge between disparate American eras, binding frontier history to 20th century minting mystery. But breathe, because skeptics and caution are part of this world too. Serious numismatists demand documentation. They remind us that mint records, die sets, and surviving ledgers do not always support every wild narrative. The sensible collector respects doubt and insists on evidence, and that process, while less glamorous and feverish bidding, is what keeps the hobby anchored. Condition is everything. A perfectly preserved dime is rare enough. An anomalous 1921 dime, showing both double mint marks and copper, surviving in high grade with clear features, would be astronomically rarer. where circulation marks and environmental damage strip away potential value. A crisp, well-preserved specimen is where the true myths dwell. The global market of 2025 is hungry and interconnected. Buyers in Tokyo, New York, Dubai, and London compete in real time. A coin that once might have only intrigued a handful of local collectors now stands before a capitalist orchestra willing to bid astonishing sums for the right artifact. International appetite multiplies rarity into astronomical valuations. Imagine the conversation with a family member who finds such a coin. Disbelief, excitement, a flurry of what-if scenarios. The coin becomes a pivot for life decisions. Education paid for, debts cleared, dreams suddenly feasible. That is a human magnetism of numismatic rarities. They make fantasies practical, even if only once. Yet there's a moral arc here. 2. With great value comes a temptation of fraud, of forgeries, of misattributed provenance. The responsible collector learns to question, to get multiple expert opinions, to protect themselves and the coin's integrity. This careful stewardship is as much a part of the coin's story as the initial discovery. For historians, such a coin is also an artifact of process, telling us about mint operations, supply chain errors, and the human fallibility behind machines. If genuine, the 1921 Mercury Sacagawea dime would not only excite collectors, it would provide a tiny window into the industrial and administrative workings of early 20th century mints. And then there's the romance of possibility. We like to imagine that somewhere, under a floorboard or in a forgotten pocket, such a coin waits. The romance is that discovery is democratic. Anyone, anywhere, might unearth a legend. This is the engine driving attic searches, yard sale hunts, and late-night internet forums where believers congregate and swap leads. But let's end this part with clear eyes. The word legend carries weight for a reason. Some stories about miraculous coins are exactly that, stories. Yet from myth can come real objects, and from improbable finds can come verified treasures that astonish the world. The line between the two is often crossed through rigorous study, relentless curiosity, and a little bit of luck. So if you ever hold such a dime, stamped 1921, bearing both a W and AP, copper face and history heavy, treat it like a living thing. Research it, protect it, and if you plan to sell, choose reputable auction houses and expert graders. If you decide to keep it, understand that you own more than metal. You hold a narrative that will be told for generations. Finally, remember why we're drawn to coins at all. They are tiny, durable time capsules. A dime can hold a story of a person, a place, an era, or an accident of manufacture. The Sacagawea Mercury Dime is powerful not merely because of its rumored market value, but because it embodies hope. The hope that luck, history, and human craft can align in a small, glittering moment that changes everything. Next up, the 1924 Sacagawea Mercury 1 dime. At first glance, it is just a small coin, a piece of metal worth 10 cents in its own time. But as collectors and treasure seekers know, sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest power. And this particular dime is said to hold the power to change a person's destiny overnight. The year 1924 was a time of transition in America. The roaring 20s were surging. Industry was booming, and the U.S. Mint was striking millions of ordinary coins for circulation. But within that mechanical process of presses, dies, and planchets, mistakes could slip through, and experiments sometimes left behind traces of their creation. It is within this backdrop that the whispers of the Sacagawea Mercury dime emerge. Now imagine a coin struck with not one, but two mint marks, the W of West Point and the P of Philadelphia. In 1924, this should have been impossible. West Point was not yet producing coins for circulation, and Philadelphia rarely placed a P mint mark on its dimes at that time. Yet here, on one small coin, both marks appear together like a riddle written in metal. As if that weren't enough, the coin bears a copper side. Dimes of 1924 were supposed to be silver-based, yet this anomaly reveals reddish copper tones gleaming under light. Perhaps it was struck on the wrong planchet, or maybe a transitional blank slipped into the press. Whatever the cause, this feature elevates the dime from a curiosity into a legend. Picture it in your hand. The rim soft with age, the surfaces worn yet still shining with a warm copper glow, and the mint marks standing clear as if daring you to question their reality. Such a coin does not just exist as currency. It lives as a story, an accident of history that became a masterpiece of rarity. Value, of course, is where the imagination explodes. Stories place this dime's worth not in thousands, not even hundreds of thousands, but in millions. A single coin, smaller than a button, valued higher than mansions or supercars. The reason? Rarity is priceless when coupled with legend. Collectors do not pay for metal alone. They pay for the story, for the right to say they own the impossible. Think about the drama of such a coin hitting the auction block. Catalogs describe its impossible mint marks and its copper tone. The world's elite collectors tune in. The bidding begins, then surges. Each offer higher than the last until room is breathless. By the time the hammer falls, the price is so staggering it makes headlines, cementing the coin's myth forever. But there's another layer, the connection to Sacagawea. Though the Sacagawea dollar was not minted until 2000, her name is linked in numismatic folklore to this dime. Sacagawea represents resilience, guidance, and the courage to lead others across unknown lands. Her spirit seems fitting for a coin that itself crosses the boundaries of logic and history. Condition is key. A coin struck in 1924 has survived a century, passed through countless hands, pockets, and drawers. To find such a rarity still in good condition, its features clear, is a miracle in itself. Condition multiplies rarity, turning a legendary coin into an object worth life-changing sums. Skeptics, of course, question its existence. They point out that mint records show no such combination, no official copper dimes of that year, and no dual mint marks. Yet numismatic history is full of impossibilities that turned out real. The 1913 Liberty nickel, the $1,804, the 1943 copper cent, all were once dismissed as myths until they were authenticated. The Mercury Dime could be another such revelation. Imagine the discovery. You open an old family box, perhaps inherited from a grandfather, and among the loose change sits this coin. At first it looks ordinary until you notice the copper gleam, then the twin mint marks. That rush of realization would send chills through your spine. In that instant, your life would never be the same again. Today's collector market is more global than ever. The US, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East are all connected in real-time auctions. A coin like this would not just stay within American borders. Billionaires and institutions worldwide would compete fiercely, driving the price into unimaginable territory. The global stage ensures its fortune would not just be high, it would be astronomical. For the owner, the question becomes, what now? Do you sell immediately and take the fortune? Or do you hold the coin, letting its legend grow and watching its value rise over decades? Owning such a piece means carrying both opportunity and responsibility. It is more than an object. It is a legacy. The copper side, too, is symbolic. Copper was America's earliest coinage metal, used in cents since the very beginning. To see it emerge on a dime where it should not belong is like seeing the past whisper through the present. It connects eras, reminding us that every coin carries echoes of the history before it. For historians, this coin is a puzzle. How did it come to be? Was it an accident, an experiment, or a secret test strike? Each possibility adds another layer of fascination. For collectors, though, the mystery only amplifies the desire. Sometimes not knowing every answer makes an object even more valuable. The Mercury Dime is also a lesson about destiny. It shows us that fortune can come from the smallest, most overlooked places. A dime, easily mistaken for pocket change, might instead hold the power to transform your entire life. In that way, it reflects the unpredictable nature of fate itself. And so, the legend of the 1924 Sacagawea Mercury Dime continues to circulate. Maybe it rests hidden in a private collection. Maybe it lies undiscovered in an attic, or maybe it waits for you in an old coin jar. Wherever it is, the coin story remains alive, fueling dreams of discovery and wealth. In the end, this coin is not just a numismatic curiosity. It is a myth given metal form, a piece of history that challenges what we think we know, and a fortune waiting to be unlocked. If you ever hold it, remember, you are not simply holding 10 cents. You are holding destiny, wealth, and the power to change your fortune overnight. Next up, the 1925 Sacagawea Mercury Dime. At first glance, it is only a dime, a coin smaller than a thumbprint, born in a year when the world danced between prosperity and uncertainty. But if you look closer, its features whisper a tale so strange and so alluring that it has become the kind of myth that could turn an ordinary person into a millionaire overnight. The year 1925 sits in a fascinating chapter of American history. The roaring 20s were in full swing. Jazz filled the air. Skyscrapers reached for the heavens, and fortunes were being made and lost. The U.S. Mint was busy producing millions of ordinary coins, dimes included. Yet, hidden within that machinery, stories of experimental strikes, minting errors, and anomalies began to spread, and one of those stories points us toward the enigmatic Mercury Dime. Now, picture the impossible, a coin struck with both a W and a P mint mark. The W signifying West Point, though the West Point Mint wasn't formally striking regular coinage in 1925. The P for Philadelphia, which at that time rarely marked its coins at all. To see both symbols on one coin defies expectation and leaves experts in awe. Was it a deliberate test? An accidental die pairing? Or something more mysterious that slipped quietly from the mint's presses into the hands of the unsuspecting? And then comes the copper side. A dime should be silver in 1925, yet the Mercury coin reveals a reddish copper tone along its edges, as though the coin itself is revealing a hidden skeleton beneath its skin. Such errors typically come from wrong planchets or transitional blanks, but this particular case seems to defy all neat explanations. Copper on a dime in this era isn't just an oddity. It's an enigma that multiplies its value beyond imagination. Imagine holding it. The coin glinting under light, one side bearing the echoes of a century's journey. The double mint marks almost like a coded message, and the copper hues glowing softly as though time itself blessed the metal. For collectors, this is more than a coin. It is a living artifact, a secret that somehow escaped the strict order of the mint and survived to this day. Value, of course, is the headline. Legends claim that such a coin, if discovered and authenticated, would not simply sell for thousands or even hundreds of thousands, but for millions. Yes, millions. This is because its rarity is not just about numbers. It is about story. A collector does not merely buy metal. They buy myth. They buy the right to own something no one else has. That story, that uniqueness, drives prices into the stratosphere. Now think of the drama in the marketplace. You bring this coin forward, perhaps through an auction house. The catalog describes its impossible mint marks, its copper tones, its 1925 date, its condition. Collectors from around the world log in, ready to battle. Bidding begins modestly but climbs quickly, and suddenly you're watching numbers rise higher than you ever believed possible. By the time the hammer falls, you are no longer a casual collector. You are a person who has just crossed into unimaginable wealth. But what is money without meaning? The Sacagawea name tied to this coin gives it symbolic weight. Sacagawea, the Shoshone woman who guided Lewis and Clark, represents guidance, endurance, and crossing unknown lands. How fitting, then, that her name attaches itself to a coin that crosses boundaries of logic, minting history and possibility. This coin is not only wealth. It is a symbol of bridging the impossible. Condition matters, too. The phrase good condition can be the difference between a curiosity and a fortune. Coins are fragile survivors, often worn by decades of handling. Yet, when such a rarity appears with sharp detail and identifiable marks, its value multiplies exponentially. Good condition in a coin like this doesn't mean perfect. It means preserved enough of the story to be proven beyond doubt. And that alone is priceless. Skeptics will always hover nearby. They say West Point could not have marked coins in 1925, that Philadelphia's P should not appear, that copper dimes are impossibilities. But legends in coin collecting are always born from impossibilities. Think of the 1913 Liberty nickel, which should not exist but does, or the 1804 silver dollar, struck decades after its date. History proves that the impossible sometimes slips through, and those anomalies are what collectors chase with burning passion. Now, let's not forget the human side. Imagine you inherited a box of old coins from a grandparent, and within it, this dime was sitting unnoticed for years. The moment of realization, when you spot the odd mint marks, the copper shimmer, would be electrifying. That instant could be the exact pivot where your life changes forever. It's a once-in-a-lifetime lightning strike that numismatists dream of every night. The global coin market today is vast and interconnected. A coin like this doesn't just stay within American borders. Collectors from Asia, Europe, and the Middle East would all leap into the fray, each one recognizing that opportunities like this appear perhaps once in a century. International rivalry fuels the fire, pushing values ever higher, until the final sale number eclipses even the wildest estimates. If you are lucky enough to hold such a piece, decisions weigh heavily. Do you sell it immediately and enjoy the instant fortune? Or do you hold it, knowing its legend may grow and future markets may pay even more astronomical figures? Every option carries both risk and reward, and that is part of the thrill of owning something that the world wants but cannot have. This coin, in many ways, is a mirror of destiny. It reminds us that greatness can come from the smallest and most overlooked corners. A dime, the simplest of coins, could hold the power to transform not only your financial life, but your identity as a guardian of history. For collectors, that responsibility is as profound as the wealth itself. To historians, the coin is a question mark. What happened at the mint? Who struck it? How did it escape? Each theory adds new depth to the tale. To collectors, however, the answers matter less than the rarity itself. They do not ask only why, they ask how much, and the answer's almost always more than you can imagine. The copper side, glowing with its reddish undertones, serves almost as a metaphor for hidden fortune. It is as if the coin is winking at the finder, telling them that beneath ordinary appearances lies extraordinary treasure. That symbolism alone makes this dime unforgettable in the minds of those who chase numismatic legends. And so, as we come full circle, the lesson is clear. The Sacagawea Mercury Dime of 1925, marked with W and P, bearing copper sides and surviving in good condition, is not merely a coin. It is a dream, a myth, and for the lucky few, a fortune waiting to be realized. If you ever hold it, remember, you are holding more than money. You are holding the power to rewrite your life overnight. Next up, the so-called Sacagawea Mercury one dime coin, a piece tied to legend, whispers, and staggering values. Imagine holding a tiny coin in the palm of your hand, a coin so small in weight, yet so gigantic in potential that it could change your destiny overnight. This is not just about metal or minting. It's about history colliding with myth and fortune blending with curiosity. To begin, you must understand the aura around the year 1928 in United States coinage history. The roaring 20s were alive with cultural shifts, artistic expression, and a restless economy. It was in this backdrop that a small series of experimental coins and misstrikes emerged from the mints. Coins that were never meant to see public release, yet somehow slipped into circulation. Among these whispers is a talk of a dime that bore unusual marks and carried traits unlike any ordinary issue. Collectors began referring to this piece, in hushed tones, as the Mercury Sacagawea dime. The connection to Sacagawea, the Shoshone woman who guided the Lewis and Clark expedition, is itself a layer of legend. Officially, the Sacagawea dollar was not struck until 2000, decades later. Yet in numismatic folklore, there are tales of test strikes and pattern coins in the early 20th century, where themes of exploration and liberty were toyed with by engravers long before they came to light in modern issues. The Mercury Dime, with its unusual design mix, may have been one such experiment, or a powerful error created in the crucible of minting accidents. What makes this particular 1928 W with P mint mark example so tantalizing is its clash of impossible features. First, the W refers to West Point, yet in 1928, West Point was not officially a mint-producing coinage. Second, the P mint mark alongside it represents Philadelphia, which at that time almost never carried a mint mark at all. Two marks on one coin? It seems contradictory, but it's these contradictions that make collectors' pulses race. for they suggest something slipped through that never should have existed. Add to this the copper side, an anomaly on what should have been a silver-based dime, and the coin story grows even stranger. When you picture such a coin in your hand, imagine the way it gleams, not with ordinary luster, but with a reddish-brown sheen where copper peeks through. This kind of surface, to a numismatist, signals a planchet error. Perhaps a dime struck on a copper-nickel blank, or even a mismatched copper planchet. Such things happen rarely, but when they do, they create masterpieces of rarity, coveted by the most serious collectors. In good condition, even with wear, such a piece transforms from pocket change into life-changing wealth. Now let's talk value. Stories swirl that examples like this have been valued not in thousands, not in hundreds of thousands, but in millions, unimaginable sums for a single coin. To the untrained eye, it seems absurd. How could a small dime, weighing less than a few grams, carry a price tag greater than a mansion? Yet that is the allure of numismatics. Rarity, story, and condition multiply together to create treasures that the world's wealthiest will pay any price to own. If you hold such a coin, you are not just a collector. You are a gatekeeper of destiny. And think about the psychology. The moment word spreads that you own a Sacagawea Mercury Dime, offers begin to pour in. Auction houses scramble. Collectors bid aggressively, and private investors whisper through intermediaries, try and secure this legend for themselves. At auction, such a coin could ignite bidding wars unlike anything you've seen, because a coin represents more than metal. It represents ownership of a myth made real. This is how million-dollar valuations take root. But this story is not only about money. It's about heritage. Sacagawea herself represents guidance, resilience, and the bridging of cultures. For her name to appear connected, even through lore, to a coin as rare as this is symbolic. It tells us that history is not always straight-lined. It bends, twists, and sometimes delivers to us artifacts that combine eras. A 1928 coin carrying Sacagawea's spirit seems impossible, yet impossible things are what make legends endure. The copper side, too, carries a symbolic weight. Copper, the metal of endurance, used for centuries in coinage, is the foundation of America's earliest sense. To see copper bleed through a dime of silver age suggests a reminder that even in times of roaring prosperity, the roots of the past still matter. It's as if the coin itself is whispering a message from history, binding the old with the new. Collectors often speak of a dream coin, that one piece that if found would elevate them into the elite ranks of numismatics. For some it's the 1913 Liberty nickel, for others the 1804 silver dollar. But for those who believe in hidden treasures and anomalies, the Sacagawea Mercury Dime of 1928, W with P mint mark, is the holy grail. To discover in a collection or an old jar of coins would be like stumbling upon a golden ticket to unthinkable fortune. Now picture the life-changing impact. You find such a coin, authenticate it, and realize its worth. Overnight, the pressure mounts. Do you sell or do you hold? Do you trade the coin for wealth and security, or keep it as a family legacy, knowing its value may climb even higher in the decades to come? This is the power of numismatics. Decisions that feel larger than life, where history and finance collide in your hands. Of course, skeptics exist. They argue that such a coin cannot exist, that no official record ties Sacagawea to 1928 minting, that West Point was not yet a mint, that a Mercury name is myth. And yet, legends have a way of surfacing unexpectedly. Time and again, coins thought impossible have appeared in old estates, bank vaults, and flea markets. When evidence defies the books themselves must be rewritten. That's why the possibility remains alive, breathing excitement into every collector's dream. Good condition matters, too. A coin that has survived nearly a century with its features intact, with visible mint marks, copper surfaces, and design clarity, is a miracle. Coins live hard lives, passing from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, wearing down with every exchange. To hold a coin from 1928 in good condition is already special. To hold a coin with all these anomalies in good condition is beyond rare. It's fate. The marketplace today, in 2025, is ripe for such treasures. With collectors more global than ever, bidding crosses borders in real time. A coin like this would not just sell in America, It would draw eyes from Asia, Europe, and the Middle East, where passion for American rarities is skyrocketing. International competition fuels value higher than ever, creating potential for this coin to surpass even the most optimistic estimates. And so, my friends, we arrive at the truth. This coin, the 1928 Sacagawea Mercury Dime with W and P mint marks in copper side, stands at the crossroads of reality and legend. Perhaps it exists in a hidden collection. Perhaps it rests unnoticed in a family drawer. Or perhaps it's still waiting to be discovered. But one thing is certain. If you hold it, you hold the power to rewrite your fortune. In the end, whether myth or reality, the story itself has value. Collectors thrive on imagination, on chasing what others dismiss as impossible.